is on the TVs, right? It's to your right on the shared.
It is. Scott. I think we may have lost him because they put on. Scott texted me and said everything looks good on Zoom. I can hear and see in Zoom. Scott, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you. Leslie, you need to turn your microphone on, and my apologies.
To me is we didn't do introductions. Shouldn't we do introductions
We
first?
can do introductions to start. Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
so we're starting over. I hereby call this meeting of the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission Budget Committee to order. And we will start with introductions. I'm Leslie Schochner, Chair of the Budget Committee. Moving to my right.
I'm Lisa Beatty, Mayor and member of the Budget Committee.
William Johnson, citizen member.
Shane Abba, member of City Council.
Mary Rose, citizen member.
Emma Sagor, acting city manager.
Michael Osborne, Finance Director.
Joseph Brilio, right now the Executive Director of the MRC.
David Chitzazan, Citizen Member, and my son Dean.
Adam Costerbody, City Council.
Sophie Sherman Burton, citizen member.
Robert Massey, City Council President.
Okay, moving forward. This meeting is being held in person through Zoom webinar. The public is invited to watch live on the city's YouTube channel, Comcast Cable Channel 30 in the city limits, or via Zoom using the link on the meeting page. There will be opportunities for the public to speak during the community comment time and during the public hearing. Written comments may be submitted by email to finance@milwaukieoregon.gov. When it is time to take public comments, staff will monitor the comment cards and email inbox. We will take comments in the order they are received and seen. Spanish translation services are available upon request, but the public is asked to have requested translation services at least 48 hours before the meeting. Translation services are also available in other languages. So now we'll go to the approval of the committee meeting minutes.
Just before you move on, I wanted to note that the 10th member of the Budget Committee, Councilor Rebecca Savage-Ord, is with us on Zoom. So when we did introductions, we didn't include mentioning her, but she is with us. So
Thank you.
Sorry, Rebecca. You have a copy of the minutes, which are from May 7th of 2022, which is the last time this group met to review the budget. Does anyone have any comments or corrections to the minutes for the meeting of May 7th, 2022? So if there are no comments, I will entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 7th, 2022, MRC Budget Committee meeting.
Sorry, really quick, maybe I'm missing something. Where
It was behind the
like that.
agenda.
Oh, it's
It looked
behind
like
the-
this.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes. We have a lot of paper today. We do. Okay. So I'm waiting for a motion. If anybody,
Motion to approve.
in a second.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Then we will move on. The motion carries. I'm now gonna, well, I think I already called the meeting to order.
So you have to officially call the public hearing on the
public
MRC
hearing.
to
I'm
order.
calling the public hearing on the proposed Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission biennium budget for fiscal years 2025 and 2026. The purpose of this hearing is to hear the staff reports and take public comment on the proposed action. Does any member of the committee wish to announce any actual or potential conflicts of interest? Seeing none, we will now hear from Joseph Brilio, Acting Assistant City Manager and Community Development Director and Executive Director for the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission.
That's just silly, right?
Well, you, broad shoulders, right?
Yeah, I like my hats. I love hats. Good morning. Good to be with you. There's no place I think any of us would rather be than right here, right now on a Saturday morning. It's rainy outside at least. I'm Joseph Brilio. As Chair Shockner said, I am the Executive Director right now for the MRC. And so I'm going to take us through this year's biennium, or this next 2 years biennium budget in review. And so I'll jump in and get this started. I'm going to try to be succinct and summarize a lot of things and not belabor anything. And when I say that is that I'm not going to start by reading the letter, my budget message. I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm just going to summarize it and hit the highlights. If for some reason the clicker is not working, of course. For those that want to follow along, it's in page 197 of your hard copy binder, and it's on page 205 of your PDF. Go to the next one. So just by way of overview, because some of you might not be as familiar as others, back in 2016, the city did adopt an urban renewal area and plan. As it's shown on the screen, that's the area. It basically encompasses the downtown core as well as the central kind of commerce area, hillside area of the city, along with 3 tentacles of streets that connect the two. Fast forward to 4 years, in 2020, the city acknowledged that at that time it had actually accrued enough increment to start thinking about how to use that tax increment to strategically invest into this urban renewal area. So those dollars, anything that's created in the urban renewal must go back to the urban renewal, for those that don't know. So in 2020, we started this next phase, which was essentially creating a strategic investment plan. What we have called it is the 5-year action, or strat, sorry. So you can go to the next slide. The 5-year action plan. It's a strategic focus of investments that are going to happen from fiscal years 23 through 27. And thanks to the Citizen Advisory Committee, some of you are on that, as well as the commission at the time. We adopted that in 22, and June 7th of 22. And then the following year, so last year in 23, we went out for general obligation bond to take out some debt, not just for the urban renewal area, but for CIP projects in general, as well as $5 million of urban renewal CIP projects to help infuse and get a bigger pot of money to help move forward that action plan. So that's basically what has occurred over the last few years. It's been a waiting game for many, many years, getting that tax increment financing to get going and to accrue that increment, and then to get an action plan and talk about where the city wants to direct funds as they come in, and then eventually get some bond money and create a bigger pot to actually make those investments happen at a faster rate. Now in this biennium, you can go to the next slide. Now in this biennium, it's showing the work. It's time to deliver, essentially. So if I was to create a title for what the last biennium was for the MRC, I would say preparation. That was the title of that budget and that plan. So creating the 5-year action plan, then bonding, that was preparation. The bienniums before that, I would just say just waiting. That was a bunch of waiting. This biennium, I want to title it as implementation. So the focus is to show value for what we have enacted back in 2016 and actually show the citizens that we can implement and make progress on this urban renewal area. So in the 25-26 biennium priorities, you'll see a few things. There's capital improvement projects. These are all called out in the 5-year action plan. We need to fulfill those. And you'll see on my last slide here, we'll talk a little bit more about those individually. But this will also include, this next biennium also includes soft program launches of economic development programming. So things like your tenant improvement projects or programs, your storefront improvement projects and plans, programs, I should say, and your pre-development assistance programs. So these are, I call them soft programs because they're not, we aren't building anything, we're providing money for businesses and property owners to do the building themselves. So we're going to see economic development as well as CIP kind of married in this next biennium, going hand in hand to revitalize our downtown and our major commerce areas. I think it's a good time actually for implementation. We're seeing a lot of change in downtown and Milwaukie Marketplace. We're seeing, if there was an inflection point that happened, I think it's happening like as we speak. So these investments are coming at a good time. I'll say it's a little bit later than I personally like, just because the action plan took a little bit longer to develop, getting the bond funds took a little bit longer to get. And so we're a little bit behind schedule, I'll say. Like, this probably should have started this summer versus next summer. But we're not in a bad spot just because of what else is occurring throughout the urban renewal area. I also added some funds for the Kellogg Dam removal project, which I'll talk about in a second as well. That's got some legs, and really, this executive team that we have currently is starting to think about urban renewal in a very strategic way. Not that we didn't before, but we're starting to actually better leverage it with CIP, and in the future, I think you're going to see more of that, basically enhancing and expanding projects so that we can be more efficient with the resources we have and actually implement projects that we've called out. You can go to the next slide. So just to do a quick review of the full budget, what you'll see here is there's $600,000 over the biennium for the launch of the economic development programs. That's, just take this all into consideration, is that this is a first draft. I want to come back to you probably multiple times with supplemental budgets, because a lot of these things are driven by demand. So it's possible, my hope is that is not enough money. Like, my hope is that the demand is way too high and that more folks want to participate in these types of programs of tenant improvement and storefront improvement and pre-development assistance. And so I'll have to come back and ask for reappropriating money to expand those dollars or to increase those dollars. So I say that just because this is just a starting place for those dollars.
Is there, when you say you're expecting supplemental budgets, does that mean that you're going to be adding additional resources in? And if so, is there a limit as to what you are able to do?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yes, it'll be adding resources in, more or less just money, just in order to create more available grant products
Right.
for business owners. That's essentially what it'll be. So we do have money. I mean, even in the account, as far as increment, we do have more money to use in the increment balance, set aside from the bond. We actually have money that we can use that's fluid that we could easily increase. So that's what I would hope to come back to if that demand is high.
And is there an upper limit about what you would be able to do?
No, I mean, in the action plan, we called out roughly $1 million. So that's an action plan, but if there's no state law, I guess, so to speak, that would say that we have to cap it at a certain amount. It's whatever makes sense for the city in order to do urban renewal projects.
Lisa?
So what you just said about there's money, there's increment coming, there's a pool of increment that's come in, and there's the bonded money. And this table is, both of those are mushed together, right? It doesn't call them out
Correct.
separately.
Correct.
So I guess, yeah, I was I mean, there will be increment come in November when the new tax year
Yep.
starts coming in or whatever. Is that what you're referring to as what you might be able to draw from to add? Or there's already money in there that you're not allocating
Yeah, good
in
question.
this budget?
Good question, man. There's money in there. Actually, we don't have to wait. Yeah.
Okay.
So if the demand was high right off the bat, then we could actually make those adjustments through a supplemental. The money is there. Yep. You can go to the next slide. So this is the CIP side, so the construction projects that we have called out in the 5-year action plan. You can see how much money is currently being proposed in each fiscal year. What I will say is that the interesting thing to note about these projects is that they're not all in our control.
Excuse me, Joseph.
Yes, sir.
Could we start referring to pages in the book? Because there's a lot of shuffling up here trying to find what you're talking about, because it's kind of hard for us to see these little text and numbers. So to help us along.
Absolutely. And so this specific table is within our CIP, which is, if you look in your tab, look for capital improvement plan.
Page 199.
think the CIP numbers, no, CIP. So not 199, go to CIP. And then it's chapter 3 of that. Michael's gonna flip through and we'll find
134 in the binder, I think.
134 of the CIP.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. 134 of the CIP. So towards the very back of your binder, page 134 of the capital improvement plan.
I'll give you a second to turn before I start up again. Good?
Just as a suggestion, when you're doing the tables, put the page number on the table and.
Absolutely. I will say our second PowerPoint for today, we do
We
have
do.
that because we know there's going to be a lot of shuffling.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Councilor Massey. So if you look at the capital improvement plan and projects for the urban renewal area, I want you just to take notice of many of these projects are not in full control of the urban renewal area and the city. For instance, McLaughlin intersection, as we all know, that's an ODOT right away, so that requires their cooperation. There's also Milwaukie Bay parking reconfiguration, which we've made inroads with the Marine Board, which has been great, but also we've had to work with the Marine Board. Transit stop improvements, that requires working with TriMet. And opportunity site access, that's part of the TSP. That's ordered to implement part of the TSP with Harrison improvements, especially related to the Murphy site and some of the issues that are surrounding the Murphy site. So that I say that because the TSP is still probably 15 months out. Dogwood Park was also put in the 5-year action plan in anticipation for Coho Point to move forward and to be built because part of their project is going to require some cut and fill of Dogwood Park. So we don't want to invest in that park until that project finds its way and does the improvements. The trolley trail, that's kind of phase 3 of Milwaukie Bay Park and NCPRD. There's those ongoing conversations. All that to say is that we're going to have to be nimble, I think, in this biennium too, because as moving forward in some of these projects requires things that are out of our control. So we might actually need to move these monies to other projects that we can actually get done because we are in full control. And some of these some of these might have to be pushed out further. Just FYI. I should put that anywhere.
I was surprised at how many were on the list. I mean, I knew most of these projects, although this opportunity site access is a new one to me. But I was surprised to see them all happening in the 2-year, or, desired to happen in the 2-year timeframe. The McLaughlin intersections, it seems like when McLaughlin gets rebuilt for Kellogg Dam, that might be a better time than trying to do it sooner. But anyway, so can you say a little bit more about the opportunity site access and what that is?
It's very broad and vague in the action plan. It's essentially calling out that there'll need to be improvements along Harrison and associated with the Murphy site.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Dogwood Park, it said that NCPRD has done a design. Is that true? I've never seen that.
I don't think so.
No?
Just looking at our public works director, just in case he knows.
Yeah, a framework plan is being,
Oh, that's not, that lineup above there is,
well, I'm looking at the page 141
yeah.
that describes Dogwood Park and, yeah. I mean, it's pretty dated, I think, because that's been held because of Coho Point.
It was, and then there was a sort of a conceptual plan that the city put together when Kelly Brooks was here. It was just
Okay.
a small conceptual plan that
Okay,
sort of factored in the Coho development.
okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Okay. That's it for me. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick, thank you for this. I just had a quick question on these projects. Are the amounts here, are they accounting for potential, additional costs, inflation, material cost? Or is it potentially like in 2 years, if a project gets kicked off, it could be more than what this is showing?
Yeah, it's not accounting for inflation over the next 2 years for sure. I will say though that there is more money in our increment or in our account to take that into consideration over the next couple of years. So that'll be something we'll need to be thinking about in each of these along the way.
Yeah, because as tight as we are, it's going to be tough to come back with a supplement.
Well, also understand that this is its own money, its own kind of
Yeah,
pot. And
no, I understand. We just kind of been on a trajectory where what we've estimated has never been,
yeah, right.
we've been coming back to pay more.
Right.
So I'm trying to get ahead of that trend if we can, some way.
Yeah, and so that's also why we're kind of lining these up to happen faster than or sooner than later.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a consideration.
Thank you.
So just to summarize, it's an ambitious agenda. It may change depending on our intergovernmental negotiations. And if we do need additional funds in this biennium, they are available to us. Is that a fair summary?
That's a great summary, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, I just wanted to point out the Kellogg dam removal money is earmarked. That actually has some really good, it's great legs. It's got some really good momentum, is what I'm saying. I am of the mind, just being part of that lead team, that through the design phase, it's funded. The construction phase, and $1 million sounds kind of silly when you talk about like $50 to $100 million worth of construction that's going to be needed for it. But in talking to our partners in the feds and the state reps, is even if the city in the urban renewal area has something to put into the pot and say we are going to be ready and we're willing to match some funds, that goes a long ways, especially with a city our size. $1 million is nothing to scoff at. So that's why it's there. It's to prepare for those monies and then going out for construction dollars.
And my understanding, I think, from reading news articles is that Clackamas is doing the lead on the design part of that. Is that right?
ODOT.
ODOT.
Yeah, ODOT, and is doing the lead on the RFP for the design right now. The RFP is out.
So what was the money that Wyden announced? Didn't that go to Clackamas River Council or something?
Could be something I'm not familiar with. It wasn't the 15 million
You would
for
be familiar.
the NOAA.
I'm clearly
They're
not
not-
remembering.
Well, there was money from Senator Merkley about
Merkley.
2 years ago. There was 500,000 in an earmark that came, that really launched the pull together of the team. But then
Right.
there was the $15 million
Million NOAA grant.
NOAA grant that is really what's
What's
funding all the design.
Oh,
and-
okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bringing me up to speed here.
It's exciting. It's happening. Yeah. That's all I have for you today from the MRC side. Thanks.
You're in the right place and just turn your microphone on, Chair Schachner. Thank you.
This is a part of the agenda during which the committee will hear community member statements regarding the proposed Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission biennium budget for fiscal years 2025 and 2026. Those wishing to speak, please submit a comment card if in person. We don't have anybody in person today.
No one in person and no emails have come
And
in.
no emails, okay. Does that mean I need to continue reading? Okay. As the committee has other business items on the agenda this morning, speakers will be limited to three. Oh, we don't have any speakers.
I think we can just say, are there any members of the committee or of the community that wish to speak?
Yes. Would anybody here like to speak on what we've been presented? Or any other?
I think that's later in
comments?
your script, maybe. but-
Okay. We haven't received any correspondence.
We have not received any correspondence on the MRC
Does the
budget.
staff have anything to add which specifically addresses a question raised? Nope. Does any member of the committee have any questions regarding clarification of our testimony from Joseph? If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public testimony portion of the MRC biennium budget for 2025, 2026.
Sorry, my son turned a page and actually brought up a question that I was going to ask. That worked out really well. Good job, Dean. Sorry, the parking solutions page. I just want to make sure this is.
What
this
page
is,
number are you
Oh,
on?
sorry. Thank you. Page 139 of the capital improvement plan. Yeah, you can hold this one, Dean. You want to hold this? Okay. The parking solutions, I just want to make sure is this something different from the last biennium? Because I remember that was something that we consulted someone and they said, you're fine. Is this the same thing?
Yes, correct. Yeah,
Because, and I'm assuming this is because Frame and Keeper and all that
Exactly.
is coming in, that
Yes.
it's potentially going to be.
absolutely.
Okay.
And yeah, we know there's a parking squeeze coming. It's not here quite yet, but it's coming. Yeah,
Okay, which is a good thing.
absolutely.
Yeah, we want, we want less empty parking spots. Okay, good to know. But it's mostly driven by the city hall.
Yeah, and recent developments that are also going through Henley Place right across the
Yeah,
street,
okay.
opening up. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So if there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion to close the public testimony portion of the MRC biennium budget for 2025, 2026.
I so motion.
Second,
It has been moved and seconded to close the public testimony portion of the proposed MRC biennium budget for 2025, 2026. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Okay, now we're moving on to approve the biennial 2025, 2026 MRC budget. Is there any further discussion needed by committee members?
I would just like to say, as I guess the only person who was around in 2016 when we did the plan, and I was the council liaison to that process with the former planning director, Denny Egner. It's really exciting to see us finally have some money to spend. You know, we knew it would take several years before the money was coming in an amount that made sense to spend, but I think it's exciting to have the money coming in, to have bonded for a portion of it, and really be able to move some projects forward. And I do think this is an ambitious list, and we should be prepared that a few of these things don't happen in the next biennium, but still, it's great to see it moving forward.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot. Counselor Adma was on the.
Yeah, what goes around comes around. So I was there, we did that too.
Aha. Okay, so if the committee is ready to vote, I will entertain a motion to approve and recommend the MRC budget and property taxes to the city council.
And on this one, I think I need you to read the motion language as it's written in the script. So that's the brown part here, member A, brave member A.
I got you. I move to approve the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission proposed budget totaling $9,246,000 for the biennium 2025 and 2026, with the property taxes for the 2025 and 2026 fiscal years for the maximum amount of revenue that may be raised by dividing the taxes under Section 1C, Article C1 of the Oregon Constitution and Oregon Revised Statutes, Chapter 457.
A second?
I'll second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission proposed budget totaling $9,246,000 for the biennium 2025 and 2026, with the property taxes for the 2025 and 2026 fiscal years for the maximum amount of revenue that may be raised by dividing the taxes under Section 1C, Article C1 of the Oregon Constitution and Oregon Revised Statutes, Chapter 457. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. I would like to entertain a motion to cancel the May 11th MRC Budget Committee meeting since we've now adopted it.
I move to cancel the May 11th, 2024 MRC Budget Committee meeting.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
It has been moved and seconded to cancel the May 11th, 2024 MRC Budget Committee meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Are there any other items that this committee would like to discuss? This is the Milwaukie Redevelopment Commission Committee at this point.
I just want to say one tiny thing, and I'm a tiny bit biased on this because I'm also on the Community Advisory Committee for this. But in terms of, we spend a lot of time talking about these major projects. I just want to say for the small business improvement area, as Councilor Khosrowbadi said, money's tight right now, and a lot of businesses are really hurting. I feel like we're seeing just as many businesses closing right now due to the inflation, extra costs and everything. And in addition to COVID, like now, just as much as we are in COVID, and these small improvements, I think, are going to be really important way that the city can give back to those people. I just think I wanted to just emphasize that it's not just money that's being thrown away, that it is very thoughtful helping of small business.
Thank you. I suspect everybody shares that. Okay, so we've canceled the meeting. We've addressed additional. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn this committee. Go.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay, moving on.
We are gonna need to take about a 3-minute break for our AV guys to flip it to the next meeting. So maybe use this time if you want some water. We have water and glasses.